happening, you guys? Welcome back to the Let's Go Win podcast, where we are here to help you win from within. And today we're talking about boundaries that equal freedom. And it's a relatively simple idea, but yet I think people struggle with this. And the young lady I'm going to bring on, she has created these things that have allowed her to have her own nonprofit, be a best-selling author, open up several Pilates studios. And it's just, I think in large part is because she has created these boundaries that's allowing her to be really productive in a short period of time. Her name is Kayla Logue, who is a best-selling author, keynote speaker, and founder of Move Into Words, a nonprofit helping young professionals build lasting mental and physical health habits. A multi-unit Jetset Pilates franchise owner with a background in competitive sports and sales, Kayla blends grit, strategy, and mindset to inspire radical responsibility and self-clarity. Her mission? Help people stop waiting for permission and start building a life that truly fits. Well, Kayla, what is happening? Jetset Pilates. It's a new one for me. I don't do Pilates a lot, but anyway, maybe you can tell me a little bit more about that. And boundaries equals freedom. That's kind of the theme for today. So you're going to let us know what the heck that means for you too. But so good to have you on the show, and welcome.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Well, we're excited to have you. So let's start with the boundaries equal freedom. In my mind, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. I understand when you set boundaries, you have greater stuff because it's more in alignment but what does it mean for you? When I say that boundaries equals freedom, why is that? How does that equate?
Well, I think one, boundaries, like it's an internal thing. It doesn't always have to be something that's verbalized, and it starts internally. And it's where, you're able to really keep your values, your morals, everything really in check. And your boundaries kind of build upon that. So staying, true to yourself with how you live. But I would say on the freedom side, especially as, not only you get older, but you start to build things and time becomes more precious than anything. And when you start saying yes to things you should have said no to, it's actually suffocating and it sucks. It doesn't feel good, right? So when you're able to say no, even though your first inclination would be yes, kind of more of like a people pleasing, or you're like, I kind of feel bad, maybe I should say yes to this, but I don't really feel like it, or actually just don't have the time to delegate here. When you say no, it's actually so much more empowering, and it really does give you this sense of freedom. And when you can get used to almost saying no and kind of be comfortable in that, even though you're like, maybe this would be better to say yes just because they'll feel better about it, but I know I won't. It definitely has a freeing factor to it when you do get comfortable just knowing that no should be the default answer.
Is that you gave that example? Did you have a clear example where you're like, oh man, I am conditioned or I am a people pleaser? Like, I know for me, establishing boundaries with like my morning routine. Don't mess with it. Look, you can tell me the sky is falling, but it doesn't happen until after 9 a.m. Like, you can tell me anything happens, but give me until 9, and then I'll be the happiest dude in the world. But if you're like 7 a.m., you're telling me something negative, it just sends me and it's a silly boundary for me, but it's one of those things where I want to show up as the best version of me. That's my like boundary that I have, and my wife and I had to discover that, right? We literally were on the verge of divorce, and it came down to the silly thing like, hey, I like to be happy in the mornings until 9. Then you can tell me anything. After that, it's cool. What was it for you? Was there a specific boundary that you're like, dude, I did not know this until it started showing up poorly in my life? Did you have something specific that showed up for you?
Yeah, I think for a while, I definitely would consider myself more of a people pleaser. I've definitely drifted away from that as I've continued to grow and build, with businesses and things along those lines. I used to spread myself very thin. I would plan dinners or coffee dates and things like in the middle of prime time for me. I'm the same way. I'm a morning person. And I would, especially actually when we started Jet Set, I'd have a ton of people reaching out being like, hey, let's grab coffee. Let's catch up. I want to know about your gym, your studio, your business, your nonprofit, like just kind of wanting to see what's going on, like how they can get involved, which is great. Like I love to chat, love to help and everything along those lines. But it was taking away from my primetime hours of getting work done, staying focused on what I really needed to do. And I realized I was looking at my calendar one week and I had a coffee date almost every day around 8 o'clock. And I'm like, this is like, I can't do this. I don't have time for this. And finally I was just like, okay, if I'm scheduling coffee dates, it's like 2 a month, unless it's like a legitimate work meeting that we're getting stuff done, right? And it's a productive, it's not just, hey, let's catch up, how can I get involved? What are we doing here? And for me, that was definitely like, I would say more of a current breaking point. I've noticed it, in my past life, probably more like on a social aspect than necessarily a business aspect. But that was one recently that I was like, okay, there has to be a boundary with this. And as soon as I said that, it made a big difference in terms of just like my productivity level, because by like 5 o'clock, my brain starts shutting down. I can get busy work done, but when it comes down to productive work and real deep work, it's not the time for me. So
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind, just because it's a simple example, but I love it because, like you said, all of a sudden, holy shit, I have 4 on my calendar this week. This is right during my time. This is whether it's taking care of me, whether it's opening the business, getting whatever the thing is. Now it's infringing, which I'm allowed, right? We always have to look in the mirror and go, this is a choice at the end of the day. I don't have to allow them in. What did that mean? What does it look like for you? Like, what does it allow you to do? Because this is where I want people to understand the freedom part of things. This is where it's like, because I know socially, especially if you're a people pleaser, having people go, well, but Kayla, you just met with me last week and now you're not going to? What the hell? Like, they almost take it personally. It's like, dude, this is not a personal thing. This is so I can take care of me, so I can grow. What did it look like for you so that, what did it, I guess, what am I trying to say? What was the end result? What does that allow you to do?
It's definitely allowed me to actually get the work done during the time that I needed to be getting it done, right? For me, when I realized, I'm taking away from really productive hours, kind of just having a chat, which could have been done way later in the day or on a weekend or on a time that isn't taking away from building the steps and taking the steps towards the goals that I need to reach, not only personally, but also professionally in our business. And it was definitely freeing because I wake up and I'm not like, okay, I have to be here and meet this person. And then, ultimately lead to almost an hour of kind of just a chat, nothing super productive. So that alone was really freeing. But I think what's really even important as a takeaway is kind of, as you said, it's a simple example, but a lot of the times we find sometimes the boundaries we need to set are with the most simple things in our lives because they start compounding, they start building up, and it becomes a big issue, right? Even though they're small little things, they become huge issues. And for me, I realized again, when I was looking at the calendar, I have 4 hours of prime time work that I am giving away to pretty much just talk. And don't get me wrong, I love that. Like I love being able to go and meet and catch up with people and help in any way I can, but not during that time, and setting the boundary with the amount of times and when and really who I'm meeting with was really, really key, rather than just kind of letting anybody reach out and say, hey, would love to grab coffee. And I'm like, I don't really know you, like I can't be giving away an hour today to talk and like help you right now. So and I guess even to like the freedom piece of it, when you are able to set that boundary and start realizing that you're now putting that time, and in my case, the productivity back into my life, it feels so much better, even though it kind of sucks having to say no. It also is much better to say no on the forefront rather than having to cancel and say no on the back end. Like I'd rather just say, hey, I'm so sorry. This isn't the time right now. Let's stay in touch. In a couple weeks, I have some more openings, rather than being like, okay, yeah, let's put on the books. And then next Tuesday rolls around and I'm like, I can't do this, and I have to last minute cancel. So I think it's just really being clear and on like what you need for yourself, and then setting that kind of tone as you communicate with others.
Yeah, and I think that's the expectations when you said it. Like for instance, if people, I give people 5 minutes. If we have a Zoom meeting, or let's say this podcast, if Kayla and I were meeting and I give up to 5 minutes. I don't get upset, but if you're past 5 minutes, I reschedule, I move on. I used to have people get so offended. It's like, what, you can't wait 7 minutes? I'm like, well, no, actually, I gave you a 5 minute buffer. Is your time more important than mine? Well, no, I had this. I get it. We'll reschedule. I'm not upset. But I remember back in the day, I would drag it out and wait like 15 minutes, and then I would build resentment instead of just saying, look, I give everybody a 5 minute grace period. I am not upset in the least. If we have to reschedule, no problem. But it's just so interesting to me how people are aghast. Like, how dare you not wait till 11:07? No, dude, I gave you till 11:05. Then we move forward.
Yeah.
Jetset. Tell me more about it. I know Pilates, and when I say I know, I've done Pilates a few times. It's way freaking harder than it's advertised, or at least the way it was to me. I was like, lifted weights all my life, blah blah blah. It's really good and it's hard. What is Jetset? Is there something unique about it that I need to check out?
Absolutely. So it's a reformer studio. It actually started in Miami. So there's tons of locations all through Florida. And I have a background and I've been around the reformer space for over 10 plus years, kind of worked in and out of it. The past 5 years I've been in real estate development. And then actually, well, now it's been a year and a half that we've been building Jetset. So we just opened our first location here in the Lake Norman area about 3 months ago. It was in June, beginning of June. And then our next location is opening in South End Charlotte at the beginning of next year. So we have a lot of work on our hands, but in terms of brand, the machine, just the whole flow, the feel of the studio, it's top notch. I've been to, like I said, several studios. I've been in the space for many years and there isn't anything like it, which is why my partner and I, we invested heavily into it. And everyone in this area is responding so well to it. Everyone loves it. It's really cool to see not only people seeing the transformations with the workout in such a quick time frame, but the community that's evolving, the team that we're building, it really is unmatched. So, I can't speak to different locations everywhere else, but I can speak to the brand, to what the workout offers, and it's worth a try. If you can find one near you, you should definitely go.
Well, I looked it up prior to us hopping on, and you're right. They're literally surrounding me, and I was like, how did I miss this? Is this something I love to work out, and yet maybe I'm just resisting Pilates. Tell me does it differentiate from other Pilates? Is Jet Set just like, is there a feel to it? Is it like a cool vibe when you come in? What is it that makes it unique, if you will? Obviously you're all in, and it's like, Charlotte. I love that whole area. So next time I'm in Lake Norman or South Charlotte, I will come check it out. But what is
Yes.
it that's different? Because I want people to go check it out. I'm going to go check it out.
Yeah, definitely the feel. The studios themselves are beautiful. Like they're very luxury looking. But it definitely has a different vibe in that sense. But even just from like my experience, it's a really, like, the workout itself is a perfect mix of a modern and traditional style Pilates. The machines are so well designed. You can do over 194 exercises. It doesn't include variations or anything like that. So you never go to a class and feel like, oh, that was super repetitive. Everything is different, but it also has, obviously, Pilates in general is a strong emphasis on core strength and stability. So the Jetset really truly is a full body workout. You do core, you do oblique blocks, you do lower body, upper body. But definitely when you walk into a studio, and I remember before we opened to ours, we were talking to other owners and they were like, it's crazy because you hear it, when people walk in, they're kind of like, oh wow, this is amazing. And they get caught by the feel of like how it looks and like how it does feel in there. So the brand itself is definitely top notch, but the experience and my kind of like knowledge in the space, it's just, the workout itself is amazing. And what the machines can do, like, it's nuts. Everyone, like I said, you should definitely try it. My partner, he was the same way as you, lifted, big, like 6'2" bearded man. And I was begging him to get on a reformer for years. And finally, obviously, when this business opportunity came around, he took a class. So humbled, which I knew he would be. I haven't ever seen somebody that hasn't been really humbled on the reformer before. And but he loves it, preaches it all the time. And there is a stigma, like, Pilates is just for women, and that's not the case at all. There's so many, even professional teams now, like, their guys are on the reformers, so there's so many benefits to it.
Well, see, you kept saying reformer, and I'm like, I should know what she's talking about. And I'm realizing, is that the style of the machine? So,
Yes.
okay, so I've been on the reformer. I didn't realize that's what it was called.
Yes.
And guys and gals, but guys especially, because I remember in college, the first time I was introduced to yoga, and I was like, yoga, come on, man. Like, we're all college athletes. This is, oh, ow, this
Yeah.
sucks. And it's hard and I'm sweaty. And that was a very similar experience to my best friend. His wife has a Pilates studio up in Montana. And she's like, hey, would you like to do it? I'm like, sure. Hungover as can be. And it's like, oh my, this was incredible. So I'm a believer. I guess I haven't seeked it out. So I've been on a reformer, is what you're telling me.
Yes. And I mean, they're all different. They have different names. We call ours a reformer. There's megaformers. Like I think even they may be coming up with a name specifically for our reformer. So there are different names, but I think that's like the easiest generic way to like understand kind of exactly what it is. But it is the worst workout ever to do hungover. 100%.
Agreed.
I won't do it. Like I've done it before in my life, and I mean, it's one that doesn't really make me feel better. Like you need to just go for a walk, like just sweat it out. There is no getting, like, you hold planks with your head down. Like, how is that going to help you feel better?
So we've established another boundary, like hungover, no reformer, no Pilates, go for the walk, do it the next day. Tell me what move into words. What is very, very obviously intentional. Move into, what does that mean? Why is that? Why are those three words together? What compelled you to do that? It's cool. I want to understand more what that means to you.
Yeah, so it's my nonprofit. I'm one of the co-founders, and it's all about cultivating a community for young professionals to thrive physically and mentally. So that's our kind of main overarching mission. And when I was writing my book, I was, obviously when you're writing a book, your thoughts are going a lot deeper than just the surface level. It's a whole different level of thinking. But I have journal prompts at the end of each chapter of my book, because for me, when I was kind of trying to figure out my whole life, gaining clarity, journaling became a huge tool for me. And I realized, when done correctly and accessible and talked about in a way that's not just so mainstream and like, oh, get a notebook and write stuff down. Like, there's so much more to intentional journaling, and how, really educating on how to use it correctly and like do it correctly. And also for me, I've been an athlete my whole life. So physical activity, obviously I own Pilates studios, has been huge, but the combination of movement into writing is kind of like one like simple, all-encompassing thing that, I believe if every individual was more active, they would be more mentally healthy too. So the movement into words, we've done events where we have an hour of, like, it's called a workshop for the body, a workout for the body, workshop for the mind. So the workout and then movement into like kind of the workshop where we talk and kind of address, I wouldn't call mainstream, but like overarching issues like confidence or, burnout and building resilience and things like that can really address certain mental stigmas. So that's kind of like a brief overview of the mission of Move Into Words. Right now, my co-founder and I, we're kind of working on different ways to take this and pick our model up, and not only just be in Charlotte. So we're kind of like regrouping and reframing how we want Move Into Words to continue to build out. But that's kind of like a overview of what those words mean to me. I think it's super powerful to, movement makes your mind better at the same time, but then also journaling is such a key tool when known how to do correctly.
Yeah, I actually preach this because, again, biologically, when we start to move, endorphins start firing. We're operating at a much higher level. And when I go to every conference, that's not happening, especially when they're starting at 8 a.m. Again, typically late. I just was at a conference speaking last week. You're at the bar late, you're chatting, which is great. Go to bed. This one started at 6:45 for breakfast. There was no movement, and you're right into sitting on your butt all darn day. And I think it's actually really smart to say, hey, here's how we're going to do this. Whether it's, what do you guys do? Do you do this Pilates? Is that your thing, or is it yoga? How do you do this with a group? Because now you have my brain going, well, this is a cool idea for a mastermind. How do you guys do it?
So we've done a couple. We've done Pilates, like we've done mat Pilates, we've done yoga, we've done kind of more like a training style workout. We've done walks, we've done runs. So like we've mixed up the workout piece of it. So it's not just tailored for all. I mean, obviously we make sure that it's accessible for all levels. So anybody can come, anybody can partake. But yeah, I mean, we've done literally all the different opportunities. It's just kind of been based on where our location for the event was. So we kind of try to get creative, mix it up to where we've done boxing before. So it's been cool. Yeah, it's just different.
And so, what is the name of your book? Is it Move Into Words? Is that what? Because I haven't had a chance. I didn't see it on your bio, so I
Oh
don't
no,
know.
so Move Into Words is a nonprofit, and then my book's called Always Squeezing Lemons.
Okay, so always squeezing lemons. Again, the question is why? What does that mean to you? Is it we're gonna create lemonade out of lemons? Like what? Like what's happening here? Why are we squeezing lemons?
Yeah, so I mean, of course, we know that metaphor, that piece of it. I mean, I love metaphors. I think they're one of the best ways to take kind of complex, topics and break them down and really simplify them and make them fun and easily digestible, but also something that you remember. So with the always piece, I mean, life's going to give you lemons, right? But the always squeezing them is no matter what the challenges are, no matter like what the hardships are, you just keep moving, you keep going, right? You figure it out. And like my book, the subtitle is Taking Responsibility to Define Your Own Success. So it's really kind of that radical responsibility mindset approach. And if I had to summarize like the whole book kind of in one sentence, from the journeys, the ebbs and flows, kind of the learnings, the hardships, but also, coming out on the other side, it's when you realize you can be the cause, problem, and solution for everything in your life, your world changes. And it's really, like, we focus a lot of the times, I think issues come from prioritizing stuff out of our control. We think that, if we could have changed this or that, and like we never had the power to change it anyway, rather than just focusing on what is in our control, what we can do, and moving on from there. And when you really actually like can put those your lens on almost, and focus on that, life becomes easier, it becomes less cluttered, and focus, clarity starts to come with it too. So kind of the messaging like weave throughout my book is, figuring like be your best self, but like in order to do that, like you have to take control of your life and really identify kind of what that looks like for you.
So, if I heard you right, we can be the cause, the problem, and the solution at all times. And you also said, or I heard, I'm not sure you said it, but this is what I heard. There's stuff that's outside of your control. And yet you have, two things I always say. We have complete control of two things: our attitude and our activity. That's it. No one can dictate my attitude. And people will argue this. They're like, no, dude, I promise you, my spouse, kids, they can absolutely. No, you make a choice. You choose your attitude. Was there a moment for you when you're like, yep, I need to write this book because I wasn't maybe being the cause, the problem, and the solution? I was falling into being a victim. I love the radical responsibility, I think you said, and the radical accountability. It's like to have that level of looking in the mirror and saying, look, I own this. It's on me. I love that idea. Was there a moment for you where you're like, you know what? Now I need to share this with the world because I wasn't showing up that way? Or have you always been this way where you're like, no, I'm the cause, the problem, the solution. Mom and dad did a great job. They taught me. I was certainly not that way. So I don't know what it looked like for you.
I think it's like a little bit different. I mean, I played sports my whole life, and my parents did raise me really well in terms of, we never went without, but also we never realized, like, we didn't get stuff unless you worked for it. Like you work hard, if you lose, you lose. I mean, also I think playing sports, you really learn that at a young age, like what it feels like to lose and to mess up. And I think that's really ingrained in me as I continue to grow older. But what I found myself doing is kind of following the path of life I thought I was supposed to, and just kind of going through the motions, as I say, checking off the boxes of society. I was married. I was not in a great relationship. I was at a job that I was capped out in, and I was like doing all these things that I thought I was supposed to do, and I was absolutely miserable. And when I started really thinking about it, I was like, I was just going through the motions. I'm like, it was the picture perfect life. It looked great on paper, but like, it wasn't the life that I wanted to live. And COVID hit. There's so many things in between, but long story short, started over completely, left with $900. Was like, I don't know what I'm doing in my life, but I'm gonna figure it out. And this book really came from, at that time, if I had this book that I wrote, it would have really, really helped me. And as I learned and grew and really kind of processed a lot of the things that happened, not only in that experience, but like moving through and kind of like overcoming on the other side, building businesses, becoming successful, like a lot of that came from like the practices and the habits and the mindset that I adopted to push me to that point. So that's where really the book came from. It's really about, not just doing the status quo or feeling like you have to do there. It's never too late to like truly start defining and creating and checking off your own boxes. So that's kind of where like I would say the origination of this book came from.
So you start down, and I think this is a common story in that again, maybe it's the people pleaser in you that was like, I'm expected to now be married. I'm expected to now be in. For my dad, I'll give you an example. The first time I told him I was going to be an entrepreneur, it went something like this. Hey, Dad, I'm getting a new job. Oh, that's great, son. Tell me about the salary. Oh, no, there's none of that. Okay. Tell me about the benefits. Oh, no, Dad, there's none of that either. And my dad didn't cuss, and he's like, what the F are you doing? And so my point to that is it really scared him that I was making this decision. And I remember because I was 24 when I made this decision, that was a big moment for me because to tell my parents, hey, I'm going to go off and do something that scares the living shit out of you, but it's just my path. That was when I was like, okay. But I see people, I think that's why they choose to go down this road of maybe not a fulfilled life because they want to make sure mom and dad know that I'm safe and this is the route that they expect. Was that kind of what it looked like for you, or how did you fall into this?
I think that's one thing that I still kind of like in my mind. Like my parents have always been supportive. They've always said, dream big, follow your dreams. So I know it wasn't me. I think I found myself just like kind of pigeonholing myself. I found
Mm.
myself kind of just being like kind of comfortable, complacent, and just kind of coasting, which is not my personality. I think I did lose myself a little bit in the relationship I was in. And I was scared to leave that relationship. And that's where I think all of it kind of I was just started suppressing, my goals and like what I really wanted to do and like who I really want to become. And not even just that, but like my creative thinking and, just different entrepreneurial things that you have in you as an entrepreneur. And I realized that, and I kind of hit that breaking point. I'm like, I can't do this anymore. I can't just be going through the motions. And I know I'm not going to get where I want to go, even though I'm not exactly clear on what that looks like, but doing this is not it. And so there was just a lot of things, and, not only my past relationship, but the person that I was becoming that just didn't align. And I think for me, that's where I really kind of like started to lose my way and found myself just, again, going through the motions.
How was your journey as an entrepreneur? Because it's a big step, right? Leaving
Yeah.
whatever job you were in, corporate or whatever it was, to again, hey, Dad, no salary, no benefits. It's all on me. For some people, that's awesome. For others, that's literally that's terrifying. Obviously, it's going well for you. You're building. You have the nonprofit. You have a couple franchises going, which is awesome. But that's a big jump. Was there some trepidation for you and fear, or was it just like, you know what? I'm good with that. I'm good being uncomfortable. I've been an athlete, as you mentioned several times. It's like I know what it feels like to get my ass kicked and to get back up, and I'm okay. How's that journey gone for you?
I definitely am the person I'm like, let's do it. We'll figure it out, especially if it's in an area that I'm confident in. I have it doesn't have to be super planned, but there's a goal, there's a vision, there's something in place that makes sense, at least a little bit of sense. Like, even if it kind of doesn't make sense, I'm like, all right, no, this is good enough. We can figure this out. So I definitely lean on that side. But if I sat here and said I haven't been scared at times, that is a complete lie. There's been times where I'm like, what the actual fuck are we doing? Truly. And I think if there's any entrepreneur that's like, oh no, it's been a breeze, like it's great. And there aren't times where you're up at night feeling like, are we going to fail? Like, what's going to happen if this doesn't work? Then I think that's a little bit crazy. I think you're also kind of a little bit crazy if you're an entrepreneur at the same time because there isn't security. You for me, like I was like, okay, I have to at least 100% be prepared not to take a paycheck for the first year or two. And, if you're not in a place to be able to do that, and that's you're going to start out kind of in a tough position too. So there's so many things that go into it, and you understand that it's not a simple, straightforward answer, but it's definitely not easy. It's rewarding, and it's worth every single day I wake up. There's not a day where I'm like, oh, I have to do this today, or oh my gosh, this sucks. Like, don't get me wrong, there's things that are like not the most exciting, but it's so rewarding. And I'm not a great employee. I don't want people to tell me what to do, when to do it. And I love making my own schedule, and a lot of the jobs and roles that I've been in, that's allowed me to do that through my entire life, really. So going back to like a normal structured and things like there's no way, so yeah, no, I love it, but yeah, it's definitely scary.
All right, so I want to take you back to the last time you had the "What the F are you doing?" which could have been last night for all I know. I mean, guys, it's not uncommon. I promise you.
True.
Just like Kayla said, like, I don't like people telling me where to be and how much money I can make. That's when I knew I have to be an entrepreneur. That's when I knew. The moment that I was like, yeah, I don't like you telling me where to be. But when you have those "what the F" moments, is it going into you move into words? What is, we're talking about freedom and this ability to, what do you do? Is it go hop on the reformer, go kick your ass, and then journal? What does your process look like? And this is a big question, because I don't think many people think about this. When you're at your low, when the worst things happen, you need to be prepared on how you're going to deal with it. I'm not saying it's going to make it all better, right? And I think of, again, I've talked about it many times, losing my dad. I knew all the tools, and yet I was lost for a moment. And so I want to really make people think like, God, when I'm saying "what the F," what do I do in that moment? What is my go-to? What does that look like for you, Kevin?
I mean, honestly, definitely writing. Writing gives me a lot of clarity, and that might look different for other people, but if I journal, and I mean, I just word vomit. Like I write down everything and it just keeps going. Like I feel so much better. It really does help me process, because a lot of the times those "what the F" moments are coming from just too much chaotic thoughts. It's stuff that like actually isn't real. It's things that are out of my control. It's just overwhelming, and I need to just get it out. And then I realize, I'm like, okay, all these things that are causing my "what the F" moment aren't in my control. I'm starting to react rather than respond to them. And, when I can get that kind of clarity, then I'm good. Usually it'll calm me down enough. And then honestly, there is not one time that I've gone for a walk and come back and be like, "Oh, that sucked." Like, I mean, going for walks has become like a saving grace for me. And coming from somebody that I used to have to do the highest intensity, high impact workouts, like I was like, if my heart rate isn't at like 190, I'm not working out. That's not the case. Like the cortisol levels are through the roof. And don't get me wrong, I still like a really hard, like crazy, like let's throw some weights around, like boxing for 3 minutes straight, like crazy stuff. Like I still like to do that, but not at the same intensity level that I used to do. That does sometimes help me too, just like get it all out. But honestly, walks are like so underrated. I mean, I think now they're starting to trend back, and it's like, just move your body. But God, just go for a walk. Go for a freaking walk. If you don't want to journal, you don't want to write, if you're not there yet, go for a freaking walk. That's been a huge saving grace for me as I've continued to start scaling these businesses.
The two pieces of free therapy she just gave them to you. Pen and paper. Okay, it's not free. It costs you, I don't know what this pen costs, 50 cents, and the paper is $1. Okay. For $1.50, there's therapy. Walking is also, and it's free, and we've been doing it for, I don't know how many thousands of years, however long man has been walking on earth, it's been therapeutic. And yet, Kayla, I kid you not, when I say, hey, you had trouble sleeping last night, do you have a journal next to your bed? Why would I do that? Because you need to brain dump. Otherwise, it's spinning up inside your head and you can't sleep. Or, as you said, we're reacting instead of responding because so much is going on. You mentioned the journal prompting. Can you give me some examples? Because I often give this advice, like, hey, have a journal by your bed. I've lived journaling since, probably 18 or 19. I know all through college and since into my adult life. But I feel like people are like, I don't know how to journal. And I'm like, you just write. But it's just
Yes.
not that simple for a lot of people. So you mentioned some of the journal prompts. Do you have some off the top of your head that might help people just starting to just purge?
So, I mean, I think it depends on each individual. And I think that's why it's like kind of a broad, like I have journal prompts at the end of each chapter in my book. So there's like 12 in my book, which is where I was like, oh my gosh, this needs to be more than just my book. Like journaling isn't just prompts, like there's so much more to it. I mean, I can definitely give some advice, but I think the biggest thing for anybody that even wants, before you can start journaling, whether it's a prompt, whether you start brain dumping, you have to commit to being honest with yourself. Because I can give you a ton of prompts. I can tell you to do this, I can do that. But like, if you're just going to write it like an essay, or you're just going to like try to buff it up, or you're going to actually ignore the one thing that's in your mind that like actually disgusts you to write down, you're not going to get anything out of it. And I think that's where a lot of people don't understand journaling, because like there's a reason, like journaling and intentional journaling are very different. Like journaling, you could just write whatever and like make it look pretty. Like I can read my journals and see like days that like, okay, I felt good that day. And I can look at another page and based off my handwriting, I'm like, ooh, I was struggling, you know? So I think that's like, there's such a difference. And like, when you're willing to be honest with yourself, you actually want answers. You're not scared of what the answers are going to unfold on the paper, then you're going to get somewhere. I mean, for entrepreneurs, like for me, like for in a prompt, right? Like I realized I'm not the best at giving myself credit. I'm always like, what's next? What's going on? You know, like how can I rein that in, you know? And so one practice I actually I took from the gap and the gain, and they say, write down 3 wins from the day and then 3 wins for tomorrow. One, it's going to help you simplify all your crazy thoughts that are going on. Probably like, oh my gosh, I have to do this, I have to do that, right? Write down the big 3 things that you could get done tomorrow, because do the same thing the next day, right? Just keep compounding the wins, but also allows you to give credit to yourself for the day like that just happened. And it could be as simple as I bought my mom a coffee, or, you know, I ate dinner with my husband, whatever. And those little things do make a really big difference. Like even for me, just like a basic gratitude practice was one way I really got started. I wrote down 3 grateful thoughts while I was making coffee every morning. So it doesn't have to be overcomplicated, but it's still, regardless if you're not able to be honest and like really dive deep into like what these issues are for you, there's no point in journaling anyway. That's why I'm like, then just go for a walk, and then maybe you'll start opening up to the point where you really want to start figuring this stuff out.
Yeah, I think it's actually really, really good advice, because that's not for anybody else. Your journal is for you. And by the way, I have said some of the craziest shit you can imagine in a journal. I promise
Same.
you. Yeah, and like you could certifiably make, you need to be checked into a facility, JM. But those are the honest, true feelings and thoughts I'm having in the moment. I'm not acting upon these things, but it's what's happening. And so here's what I hope people can garner from this. Take that page out, burn it, shred it. You don't need to keep it, especially if you're worried somebody's going to read it. I get it. I mean, there are things I've wrote that I'm like, I hope nobody ever comes across this page. And that's typically when I tear it out and I burn it. And the other thing I love, Ben Hardy and Dan Sullivan's book she just brought up, The Gap and the Gain. Give yourself the credit. It's a very simple idea, and I don't think I'm giving the book away completely, but so often we're looking at, my goal is here and I have so far to go. That's the gap. Like I want to, let's just say I want to make $1 million a year and it's September and I'm at 300,000. I'm only looking at 700,000. That's the gap. The gain is last year I made 50,000 and now at the same point I'm at 300,000. That is the gain. And that idea is massive for people to create momentum, to understand that you're doing great stuff. I don't mean to take from your point. I love that you brought it up, because it's such a good, again, simple book. And yet I think it's profound, especially for people that don't give themselves credit, the hard chargers, the peak performers like yourself. It's like, hey, Kayla, you've done some pretty cool stuff. Let's pat yourself on the back a little bit.
Oh yeah, no, that was honestly one of the most influential books for me. And it's one I was actually talking to my friend about I forget how it came up, because I haven't actually talked about it in a while, but I was telling her, I was like, gosh, I need to re-listen to it. It's a really good Audible too. And it's a simple thing that like you think, oh, that makes sense, right? But it's like, why hasn't it made sense until I've just heard this in an entire book, right? But it really was so impactful, and it is so important, because if you're constantly just living in the gap and you're just constantly thinking about the next thing, you're not thinking about all the wonderful things that you've done and you've accomplished and giving yourself credit. And then also, like, you're just holding yourself back. You're truly not, like you said, gaining that momentum to propel yourself forward. And so, I mean, yeah, any sort of entrepreneur, like, I think, I think naturally as entrepreneurs, we do have a hard time giving ourselves credit. Like, I think it's something we have to constantly, not everybody, but I think we have to constantly check ourselves. I know for me, I do. Like, I'm a high performer, I'm a high achiever. I'm like, let's go. I run 100 miles an hour, rather than just like pausing and being like, all right, girl, you're good. Like, life's good. Chill out.
Yeah, you did
You're
something pretty
fine.
awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
Yeah, those two talk about collaboration. Ben Hardy and Dan Sullivan, who Dan is, gosh, he's got to be mid-80s now, I think.
yeah.
They collaborate, and Who Not How is another great one that they wrote together that
Yep.
it makes so much sense. You brought up one of the most profound books. Are you a reader? Do you have some books that you're like, I wish everybody would read this because it was that impactful for my life?
Yeah, I mean, I really liked Mark Manson. Mark Manson's The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. I know it's a pretty mainstream one, but honestly, that was one that was transformative for me when I was trying to kind of, like, obviously going through divorce. I was young, it was COVID, and that really was like that mindset shift of, it's not that big deal. Like, people don't care that much about you. You know what I mean? So I think that's just like a really good, easy, fun read. And I love the way he writes. I just think he's a great author. And this is another mainstream one, but also I believe if you can take one really, again, impactful piece from a book and actually apply it to your life, it's an amazing read. And Atomic Habits is another one. It truly is. I mean, it's the small, subtle, like, you keep doing the small things over time and it will compound and it will blow up. And I think that's also something that helps me on the, as an entrepreneur, as building a business. It's the little things, the consistency, the discipline that you just keep putting in, the time after time. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, okay. All right, here's the payout. So I think those are two that, like, off the top of my head, that I'm like, if you haven't read them, you absolutely should read them. I kind of like listen to like other like random Audible books and here and there. And honestly, I've been so busy that, like, it's not an excuse. I just haven't been reading as much over the past 2 months. But at the same time, like, gosh, if I get into a good book, I could sit down and just, I'm like, okay, all plans canceled for the rest of the day. I'm going to finish this book and then see you tomorrow. So yeah, but no, those are two that really stick out. And of course, also Think and Grow Rich. It's an oldie, but God, it's also written in a way like where you have to like almost study it, not like read it. Like, it's a study book. But that one also really shifted my mindset about money and like just like the true power we have over what our reality is based off of our thoughts. And it does, like, it makes you a little delulu, which is great. Like, I believe everyone should have delusional dreams and goals and stay in that, that path, and then start like breaking down the systems and processes to get there. But that one like really like helped me to embrace that piece as well.
Yeah, look, I reread it every single year. It's brilliant, and it was written in 1929, I think. I mean, it's just timeless. I would say get the updated version because the words, the conversation is a little bit nicer than they used to say fella, and just these weird things that you're like, that's kind of odd. Kayla, what didn't I know enough to ask you? Like, you're like, dude, how'd you miss this? I think you're a brilliant young woman that's doing cool stuff. What would you like to make sure to share with the audience as we start to wrap up?
Oh gosh, I mean, I think we covered really the basis with the book, the nonprofit, the studios. I mean, if anybody's in Charlotte area, definitely come check out our Jetset Lake Norman studio. Follow us for the Jetset South End studio. We have tons of events coming up. Check out Move Into Words. Ultimately, like, as I'm continuing to build this, like, I'm working on getting into more speaking engagements. I've done some in the past. It's just with getting these businesses up there, it's so busy. But there's so many things that I'm excited for. That's, simultaneously growing with Jetset, and then just, in the community, it's been really, really cool to, kind of see how not only these businesses are growing, but like the network and the reach. I love meeting new people. So no, this has been great.
Well, you did a great job. I'm going to come get my butt kicked up at Jet Set when I come
Love
up
that.
to Charlotte. And if you guys haven't been to Lake Norman, it is special. I'm not trying to get everybody to move that. I'm just telling you, it's really cool. So not a bad place to go check out anyway. Kayla, you're awesome. I love the energy you brought, and thank you so much for coming.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
I think so much, the theme was boundaries equal freedom. We definitely touched on it, but you know what I really got from this is she does some really simple things that are hugely important for all of us. Just going out and walking. I know that sounds so easy and it is brilliant. The journaling and just doing a brain dump and all the clarity that gives you. I love when she said, you are the cause, the problem, and the solution. I mean, you want to talk about looking in the mirror and owning the fact that your life is going whatever way it's going, good, bad, or indifferent. You are the cause, you are the problem, but you are also that solution. I absolutely think we can all apply that. And look, there are seasons of life where we're going through tough stuff. This is exactly when you need this. You are the cause, you are the problem, but you are also the solution. You're the one that gets to get yourself out of it. And I think just the way she showed up is exactly testament to that whole ideology. So, guys, anybody, I can think of three people off the top of my head right now that are going through challenges in their relationship, in a divorce. They're struggling financially. I'm sharing this with them. I'm letting them know, look, you're the cause, you're the problem, and you are the solution. I would ask for you to do the same. Please share this with somebody that could use that inspiration, use that kick in the butt. They may not appreciate it in the moment, but I promise you they will eventually. Please make sure to share this out, and we'll continue to bring on awesome guests like we did with Kayla. Until next time, remember your mindset matters. I appreciate y'all. Talk soon.